Hey everyone, ToonySA here with another video. This time I'm going to be ranking how easy or how difficult were Wumpa Lewis's CTR times to beat. So you can see I've got a tier list ready from autopilot, which basically means I had to do no thinking, easy, medium, regular hard, and then, I wrote ultra sacred hard, but someone corrected me in the comments, so it should be ultimate sacred hard. So yeah, that's what we're going to change it to. So this is a mixture based on feelings, how I felt about a level, but also how good was Lewis's time and how many attempts did it take me to beat his time on those levels. This is based on Lewis's time, not on Oxide's or Tropy's time. So let's get on with it. And I am going to preface it by saying that, of course, I was playing as a speed class character. I've said it about 50 times during the series. It gave me an idea that I'm going to make this video again a second time after I'm done beating Lewis's times as a turn class character, and then let's see how the levels wiggle around a bit. I think that would be a really good comparison. So this is obviously based on me playing as a speed class character. So Crash Cove only took me 4 attempts, therefore it's easy category. My biggest trouble with Crash Cove was actually getting across the bridge in a straight line, so I need to be careful if I ever ask an officer, oh, let me do the line test for walking straight to make sure that I'm not under the influence, because apparently I can't do anything straight. Except get married to a woman. Next up we have Ruse Tubes, which I'm going to put into the medium category. It took me 11 attempts to beat Ruse Tubes. Lewis had a pretty good time on this. It was a little bit down more to my incompetence on taking certain shortcuts behind the mushrooms and things like that, grazing on the sides. It was a little bit more down to me being bad, but I still think Lewis had a fairly good time and it was quite difficult for me to beat it. It was definitely harder than Crash Cove anyway. Mystery Caves is going to be my first entry into the autopilot section. I beat Lewis in 1 attempt, so yeah, if I'm able to beat Lewis's time in a single attempt, I feel like it has to be on autopilot. Now, I would say that Mystery Caves was actually one of the harder autopilot levels. I did have to do a little bit of thinking with it. You know, you've got to avoid the fire, you've got to take that really annoying shortcut. So yeah, I would say it was a high level autopilot to beat Lewis, especially as it took me a few more attempts to beat Entropy and Oxide. Next up, joining the easy category is going to be Sewer Speedway. I think Sewer Speedway was a little bit more difficult than Crash Cove, so I'm going to put it to the left. Sewer Speedway is definitely a level that when I redo as a turn class character, I'm really going to look back and laugh at me putting this on easy. Of course, it's going to be a lot easier when I can travel like 1.3, 1.4 times faster than Lewis can with a character. So yeah, with a turn class character, I think this one's going to be a real struggle. But for a speed class character, Sewer Speedway, I was able to actually get the shortcut pretty damn quickly, all things considered. Thought it was going to take me a little bit more getting used to than that. Now it's time for Coco Park. That joins Mystery Caves in the autopilot. It was even easier than Mystery Cave, so it's going below it. Yeah, I beat Lewis in 1 attempt on Coco Park as well. It's probably the easiest track to beat a turn class character with a speed class character on, to be honest, because it literally is just a circle with no real obstacles. Even if a turn class character played really well and took shortcuts across the greenery in certain sections of this level, I feel like any other class is just going to be faster on all the rest of the track, that it won't even make a difference if they didn't go for those shortcuts. And straight after that, Tiger Temple is also going into the autopilot. It is going to go 1 spot ahead of Coco Park. Tiger Temple is not a track I particularly like. It's got those ruination monkey heads that breathe fire at you that you need to keep track of. It's got the part where you have to go over the greenery, which is a little bit annoying. So it didn't take me that long to beat Lewis, but it's still a bit of an annoying track. Again, I think this one's going to be a lot more difficult with a turn class character as well. Blizzard Bluff is going to go into the easy category, and it's going to be a little bit higher than Crash Cove, but I'd say it was a little bit easier than Sewer Speedway. Actually, no. I'm going to put it slightly to the left of Sewer Speedway. It does have the fence skip, and it has that big lake skip, which are actually kind of difficult. I felt like I got really, really lucky. Not doing much practice, but still able to get both of those skips. So yeah, I did have a little bit more trouble with those skips than Sewer Speedway skips. which is what puts it in the top end of the easy category. Could really be a low medium, but I think that's about right considering 3 attempts to beat Lewis isn't that bad, to be honest. Papoose Pyramid. Okay, new entry into regular hard. Okay, so yeah, Papoose Pyramid. At first, you know, I was dicking around a bit with the level, to be honest. So the attempts, even though the attempts were 37, I'm not actually really thinking of the attempts in this stage. I'm thinking that, first of all, I was like, all right, let's do the track normally. Lewis's time obliterated my time. Okay. Second of all, let's just do wall skip a single time. Well, no, we didn't even go to wall skip yet. Let's do the jump around early U-turn. Lewis was still way ahead of me. Then I was like, okay, let's do wall skip 1 time and not an easy skip to get the hang of. Even with wall skip a single time, that was not good enough. 2 times may have been barely enough, but I just decided to go all out and end up going for wall skip 3 times. And going for wall skip 3 times is hard. It's not easy. Not to mention going around the spiral, again, with a speed class character, just led to Papoose Pyramid being a lot harder than all of the other tracks that I've listed so far. Dingo Canyon's also going to go into regular hard, and it's actually going to go ahead of Papoose Pyramid. Now, even though Dingo Canyon is a much more straightforward track, that actually was to my detriment, apparently, because unlike Coco Park, where the simple circle made it easy for me to beat Lewis, I don't know what it was about Dingo Canyon's layout, but I just could not get the hang of that track at all. And it took me, let me just check, 28 attempts to beat Lewis on a track that should have been simple. And again, with Papoose Pyramid, it took a lot more attempts, but that was because I was going for a much harder skip. But for Dingo Canyon, it was just hard, and I don't even know why it was so hard. And I've got to stop saying so hard, you know. Dragon Mines is going to join the regular hard category, but it's going to be at the bottom. I didn't have to resort to doing the really annoying shortcut, which I'm really grateful for. I was able to beat Lewis without it. But still, it took 21 attempts. You know, that's a pretty difficult amount of attempts, to be honest. But yeah, nowhere near as bad as Dingo Canyon and Papoose Pyramid. It still had, you know, the whole getting squashed by things, going around the really annoying spiral. Just anything with a spiral is going to go into regular hard if it's me playing it. Unless it's Spiral the Dragon. Polar Pass is actually going to join the medium tier at the top end. So yeah, Polar Pass, you know, it's a decently hard level. I think, again, this one was more down to me just not playing as well as I should have been to take 12 attempts. I probably should have beat Lewis a little bit faster, but it is what it is. Polar Pass is just a generally quite difficult track, so it, you know, deserves to be medium for that reason. Tiny Arena joins Ultimate Sacred Hard. You might be thinking, okay, when you switch to Pen to Penguin, you know, you beat Lewis quite easily, so why is this in Ultra Sacred Hard? Well, that's because, apart from the fact it took 23 attempts to beat Lewis, which is a lot of attempts, you know, it resorted to me breaking the character that I'd been playing for the entire series, including after Tiny Arena. I played as RC car, speed class RC car. This was so difficult for me that I had to break what character I was using just so I could beat Lewis. You know, if changing the way you play doesn't scream ultra hard or ultimate hard, then I don't know what does. But yes, obviously when I go back to the turn class comparisons, it's going to obviously drop massively down the list because it's a lot easier to do that track and beat Lewis with a turn class character. Engine Labs is low-key easy. It's probably, you know, it's very similar to Crash Cove. I'd say maybe it's very slightly harder than Crash Cove. You have to obviously do the ultimate Sacred Fire trick if you really want to get an edge over Lewis, which I wasn't very good at. And not only are you doing it at the beginning, but you can also do it at the end. I ended up just giving up on doing it at the end, and it was still enough to beat Lewis, which is why I think, you know, it's a harder track than Sewer Speedway. Similar in difficulty as Blizzard Bluff, but the shortcut wasn't as annoying to do than as Sewer Speedway was, and I didn't really need it to beat Lewis anyway. Cortex Castle is going to join Ultimate Sacred Hard next to Tiny Arena, and to be honest, I'm actually going to put it ahead of Tiny Arena. For those of you that watch my series, you probably are not surprised by that. Cortex Castle, you know, it was a track that caused me a lot of headaches. I had 42 attempts on it. I even swapped to Penta for a couple of attempts before realizing, actually Penta's going to be way harder than even RC on this track. Lots of tight turns. Lewis's time was really good. Yeah, I was in agony the whole time. It took me 2 recordings to beat that track, and it's the only track that I can say that for. Therefore, it's on Ultimate Sacred Hard. Hot Air Skyway was easy on the other hand. I know it took me 13 attempts, so you might be thinking, why is it not at least at medium? Well, that's because I was going for a barricade skip for fun. I probably could have beaten Lewis a little bit faster if I just played the level normally, but I just committed to doing the shortcut. I'm going to put Hot Air Skyway above Sewer Speedway, but below Blizzard Bluff. I don't think it was that bad of a level, to be honest. Oxide Station has to go to autopilot, and I'm even going to put it ahead of Coco Park as probably the easiest track to beat Lewis on. It took me 1 attempt. If you can do that one shortcut, you've beaten Lewis. You don't even need to worry really about the rest of the track. You can probably beat Lewis by only doing it a single time as well. I opted to do it all 3 times just for the heck of it. And it's not like it's even a really hard trick. It's a really easy trick to do. Doesn't take much practice at all. I picked it up really quickly. It's got to be an autopilot as the easiest track to beat Lewis on, to be honest. Which is ironic because it's one of the hardest tracks on Nitro Fuel for me to be even entropy on. So it's really weird putting in autopilot for this particular tier list. Slide Coliseum is going to go into the easiest of easiest. Didn't really have any issues with Slide Coliseum. Very, very straightforward level. Just slide, slide, slide. There's no turbo pads to worry about. A couple of tight turns, but I actually found it easier than Crash Cove to beat Lewis on personally. And that leaves Turbo Track, which I'm going to put into medium tier, and I'm going to put it at the highest rank in medium tier, if I can move Polar Pass. So yeah, Turbo Track is an easier track than Polar Pass, but it's harder to beat Lewis on. It's got those really annoying U-turns that are a little bit inconsistent for me personally to do. I know if you've got it figured out, it's probably not that bad. But yeah, Turbo Track, difficult level, but not like hard, Ultimate Sacred Hard. It's not even regular hard. It's just, if you can master that one small section, you're going to have not much of an issue beating Lewis. The rest of the track's a breeze, to be honest. So I don't think it caused me as many problems as Dragon Mines, Papoose Pyramid, and Dingo Canyon. And if you're curious, it took me 16 attempts. And in case I forgot, Slide Coliseum took me 3 attempts. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. So to summarize, now that you've seen all of my tracks from Ultimate Sacred Hard down to Autopilot, I will summarize by telling you the total amount of attempts it took me across all of the tracks. It took me 225 attempts to beat Lewis's time. It took a lot more attempts if you add in, beating the level regularly, beating Tropy, but to beat just only Lewis specifically, which is all we cared about for this challenge really, 225 attempts to beat Lewis. Thank you so much for watching this video. There's going to be 2 more tier list videos that come out in the future. The next tier list video you're going to see is a little bit different from this one. It's going to be me ranking the tracks in terms of which one I like to dislike. In terms of good and fun tracks to not so fun tracks. And then the second tier list you'll see will be after I beat Lewis again with a turn class character. See you then, guys. Bye.